Next thing I want to look at is the Rejuve project. And the Rejuve project, of course, is part of the Singularity Net ecosystem. And one thing, because the Rejuve project gets really pushed at the moment as well. If you've been on the stream yesterday, you had seen Ben Gertzel had a meeting with members from the Rejuve project. I show them around, stuff like that. And the Rejuve project really starts to pick up pace. And I believe this is because obviously it's longevity, but the whole Rejuve project, longevity research, helping humans being there, to extend humans' lifespans, is very important for AGI, for the hyperon model, because it steers it into the right direction. And this is something that Ben Gertzel also talked about a lot. How can we make sure that AGI that develops is aligned with us? Well, one thing would be to implement and use it for good things, to use it for things that are good for humanity, like the Rejuve project. So this is why I believe the Rejuve project also gets pushed a lot. Let's go here. Physics, the science at the root of longevity. Yes, it may be physics. Let's look through that. And shoot, I just noticed that by reloading, I lost all of my markings in there. So no worries, then we'll just talk about it. So what they talk about in this project, basically, this here is what we want to see. Professor Hayflick, which is one of the most influential biologists of the last 100 years, disproved a previous belief that normal living cells are immortal. He demonstrated that non-cancerous cells possess a limited capacity for division, a phenomenon known as the Hayflick limit. Aging is a problem in physics and not in biology. Why is it a problem in physics? Because we assume the problem is entropy. Now, entropy is a physical property of every closed system to become more and more chaotic, right? There's always push for any system to become, any closed system, become more and more chaotic over time. Systems are not self-ordering, they become more and more chaotic. That's why entropy likely is a huge factor in aging of humans, because cells are closed systems and become more and more chaotic. Now, the human body by itself is not a closed system, which article also talks about. When we talk about entropy here, where is it? Every system moves toward maximum disorder. Now, in humans, we have, for example, here, highly reactive atoms can harm DNA and mess up structure and function of different cellular components. The energy stored in chemical bonds, crucial for maintaining structure and function, gradually dissipates, succumbing to the second law of thermodynamics. So this is a huge thing, that over time, just cellular components and the bonds gets weaker or reshift in different ways. This is kind of hard to explain if you don't know the chemistry behind it. So hydrogen bonds are a big part of what holds proteins together. And if they get dysregulated, cells get more and more damaged over time. I hope that's basic enough for everybody here to understand that. And another thing are free radicals. Again, I can't find it right now, but the article also talks about free radicals, which are basically highly reactive molecules that react with cells and make them, damage them over time more and more. Good. The article mentions gravity briefly. I think that's bullshit, what the article says there, because if we look at time, and we get a bit technical because I love to nerd out about this stuff, so bear with me. If we talk about time, time is relative, as most of us hopefully know here. And the more gravitational pull you experience, the slower time moves for you. And the article talks about that as one possible future opportunity of longevity, but this is kind of BS because it's relative. It's relative. Let's say you fly at almost light speed, time would move for you very, very slow. So yes, relatively to the Earth, you would have slowed down your aging. but that doesn't do you any good, because if you come back to Earth, everyone you knew and everything you knew has moved much, much faster through time. So it aged much, much more than you aged. So yes, relatively to everything on Earth, you have slowed down your aging, but your relative aging did not slow down. You still aged at the same speed, just relative to everything on Earth, you have slowed down your aging. So I think that's kind of BS what the article is talking about here, or maybe I just don't fully get what they're insinuating. But I think that's a little bit BS what they are saying here. It makes no practical sense whatsoever. Now, the next thing they're talking about is quantum biology, which is interesting because when it comes to mutations here, consider DNA mutations a hallmark of aging. One way mutations occur is through the swapping of hydrogen atoms, which hold DNA strands together through bonds. If this swapping happens during DNA replication and the hydrogen atoms end up in the wrong positions, mutations arise. And one explanation for that could be quantum tunneling. And quantum tunneling is basically, so when we have an energy field or an energy, let's just say energy field, then a particle can just pass through this energy field if it has a higher energy, right? It can just pass through if it has a higher energy, mainly speaking. Now, quantum tunneling allows particles to pass through these fields without them having a higher energy. Yes, so this is basically quantum tunneling. We don't need to go in depth why that happens. There are a few explanations, right? The particle wave dualism, for example, and the Unschärfe relation from Heisenberg. So yeah, but let's get into that. The important thing here is that, mutations happen. Okay, so we don't need to talk about much more things, but these are things that I found quite interesting in this longevity article. And when we talk about the Rejuve project, this is the kind of research they're doing. One more thing though, they talked about cold exposure, which I just remembered, and time restrictive eating. Time restrictive eating is also something that, what's his name? What's the name of the Harvard guy who does the longevity research? He has this longevity podcast. What is his name? I need to find out. And, anyway, he has this longevity podcast, and he talks about how time. Dr. David Sinclair. There we have it. Dr. David Sinclair. He has this longevity podcast where he talks about how time-restricted eating, how eating less is one of the biggest factors they can observe when it comes to slowing down or even reversing the aging. So yes, the Rejuve project is really talking about a lot of great things here. And I believe this could be one of the first things that is implemented into hyperon, which is where we have our, full circle here, back to AI and back to hyperon. The Rejuve project and Rejuve project's applications could be one of the first things implemented into hyperon. And I believe this is very deliberate to give hyperon a direction aligned with human goals. Because again, how can we make sure that AI is not malicious and kills us all? By making sure it's aligned with human goals and it pursues positive things, like this longevity research right here. So I keep an eye on that, and I'll probably make a deeper video about that at one point in the future.